part two. You know that famous phrase that says, "Go west, young man"? Instead, we're so glad you came north to grow with Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. So let's talk about the move to Minnesota. Tell us how you decided to come to cold Minnesota and your journey to Greater Friendship.
I didn't decide. The Lord did.
The Lord did. That's a good answer.
Because I was not looking to come forward to come to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But the way the whole thing happened is amazing. And my wife can tell you more about how the job came to be.
Oh.
And we went on about we knew we had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a trip. We went to everywhere we went to Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yep.
And went to
We went to
Lynchburg.
Lynchburg, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And all in Virginia. All in Virginia.
Kansas, yeah, all over Virginia, Kansas City, and because she a young nurse, and could get a job anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, pick a place and let's go. But I didn't know it was going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be on the East Coast, Florida somewhere. Matter of fact, she got offered jobs in Florida.
Okay.
So you can just kind of tell them how we got here.
It's your story.
Oh.
It's y'all's story.
It's y'all's story.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'll pick it up.
Well, I can say this.
Okay.
I just gave up. I said, I guess the good Lord just want us to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to pick a spot. I'm not going to do it. When the Lord says go, then we'll know when to go.
Yes.
So apparently it was not time for us to leave.
I see.
You know, what you want is not necessarily what God has in store for you.
Exactly.
But and be careful what you pray for, because my prayer has always been, Lord, let my little will be in your big will. So, that means a lot. That's
really
a whole
does.
mouthful of stuff.
Yes.
And the prayer that says, Lord, and bless me and enlarge my coast. Oh, yeah. That's a big one, too.
Yeah.
So.
I did a six-part sermon on that before we actually moved. I did a
Yes,
six-part
you did.
sermon on the prayer of Jabez.
The prayer of Jabez. Yeah.
Wow.
And he didn't know what he was getting himself into. So I gave up, and I was getting nursing journals.
Right.
He is the one who did it. He saw Mayo Clinic advertisement. It was on the back side of the book.
Okay.
And why would he do that? I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. He said, just try this. Just try it. Because when I graduated from St. Louis University.
Okay.
In St. Louis. And they will always say, you need to go to Minnesota, And during that time, when I graduated, the nurses were on strike. Or either they're laying off nurses. So I just we traveled back south. But anyway, he says, try it. So I called them and Mayo, and they said, oh, yes, we would love for you to come. You can go online. I said, I'm not going online to do anything. Just send me the package in the mail.
Right.
I think they must have overnighted because I got it so quick, and I went, it's supposed to be slow. So I took my time and filled it out. And I don't think I've ever told y'all about this.
What?
So I took my time and filled out the application, sent it back, and that same week I got a phone call. When would you like to come? I went, wait, I am at work. What? What would I like to come? Sure. So we set up a date, got an interview, and he always said, wherever we go, first of all, I want to go where nobody know me. Nobody know our family name. I want to go and establish my own roots. I say, okay. And next thing, wherever we go, I want to go where it's a country town.
Okay.
The first time Mayo sent for me and I rode in the shuttle, I went, oh my gosh. I had never seen so much corn in my life.
This is in Rochester.
This is in Rochester.
Okay.
You ought to see it now, though.
Yeah,
oh,
I
my
know.
God. Now find the corn.
Yes.
But anyway, it was so much. I said, are you kidding me? This is crazy. And it was just exactly what he said.
God works in mysterious ways.
He does.
Yes, he does.
So that's how we got to Minnesota.
That's great.
So when you got here to Minnesota, what was your mission? I mean, what was your mission in ministry there, and just your overall thought on how you want to form your ministry?
Well, I really wanted to just come and maybe step away from pastoring for a minute. Because when I had started the church before I left, that's the church where Pastor LeBaron Hedgeman is now, Freedom Rock. We had started that church. And so I'm playing, well, finally I'm just going to kind of get away and just be like an evangelist. Just go and
I
preach.
see.
And during that time I was preaching a lot in Chicago area. And yeah, I'm in Chicago.
Went back to Chicago. Not in Catalina.
I was preaching a lot in Chicago, and because I had this pastor over there that knew me well, and had a cousin over there, and just so I got a chance to go from one church to another. Once you preach at one church, then somebody else wants you at another church. So that's where it happened.
Right.
But anyway, so that's basically what I was doing. But then got to Rochester, and this church, Rochester community, was vacant. The first time I saw a black person in Rochester was a man crying on the steps.
Wow. In the winter.
In the wintertime. And it was snowing. And I decided today I'm going to find a black person. If I'm going to be in this city, I'm going to find a black person today. And when I found him, he was sitting on the steps of what looked like a house, but it was a church. And I backed up and had a little black Jeep there. And I got out and I walked around, and I started walking toward him. And he started walking toward me, looking at me. And I said, oh, Lord. Then he pointed at me. Billy Russell?
No.
Really?
That's what happened.
Wow.
I said, yes, sir. Boy, I remember you were growing up. You used to come to church with your dad all the time down the slide in Louisiana. I was right there. I grew up down there with you. That's exactly what happened.
Wow.
At Macedonia Baptist Church, he knew me from a little boy, and he's the first black person I saw in Rochester.
So that sealed it for you.
I knew that. I said, because I had been praying like, Lord, get me out of here.
Yeah.
He already showed me some birds and stuff, but then when the man pointed at me like that, okay, Lord, okay, I gotta stay. So, but then Reverend McFarland down in he's in Atlanta, Georgia now. He knew me. I didn't, and he and John Bowen are friends. And John Bowen was pastor Greater Mount Vernon. And McFarland called me. He said, "Man, I know this pastor up in Minneapolis. You need to go up there and check Minneapolis so I can get a chance to preach up there." I said, "Man, there's this church here that's trying to call me here as pastor in Rochester." He said, "Just call John Bowen." I didn't call John Bowen. John Bowen called me.
Okay.
And asked me to come preach for him. And he didn't know me, I didn't know him. And that Sunday I walked in there, he just, you know how you look at you. He just look at him, trying to side me up. One look at this nigga preach. Look at him preach. So sure enough, I got up and preached, and he's the one who told me, he said, "Man, there's this church over south that's vacant. They've been vacant quite a while, and they done a national search and everything." And they got a deacon over there that sang quartet, because I had sung a few quartet songs that day. He said, "And I think y'all would match out good singing quartet."
Yes.
And I bet you that church will call you a pastor.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
Deacon Brown.
Deacon Brown.
Yeah.
It was Deacon Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Deacon Brown called me, Reverend Collier called me, Deacon Collier, then, and asked me to send in a resume. I don't send resumes in the church, because I never sent a resume in. Really, I had never sent a resume into to church before, because I told you the story about the church that came and got me.
Right.
That's usually the way I ended up at that church, and they came and knocked on my door and asked me at a revival or something to think about it. So that's why I did a little simple one-pager resume and sent it in. And because I thought I'd never hear from him anymore. But they called me, and that's become preach.
Well, you know, what has been, when you came to Minnesota, you came to Rochester, and you found your way to Minneapolis, I guess I'm going to throw it over to Kim now. We're kind of feeling out, seeing your travel and where you're going. And what do you want to ask Sister Pastor's wife, First Lady Russell?
First Lady, what has been your ministry? I'm going to have to do that over. First Lady,
Yes.
what has been your ministry mission for women here at Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church?
Oh, I wish I can put this in a book. Be looking out for it, by the way. I had a vision many years ago when I was a child about the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it's always been such a passion of mine. And I grew into that, and I had this vision long time ago when I was very young. I had this vision that I will be before a crowd giving the message about the risen Christ. And when I was going back and forth to school, which is an 8.5, 9-hour drive, God gave me a mission. And I said, I don't know if I can do that. And he said, you can do that. So it was very clear to me. And of course, then we had gone to another church and moved to another city because I said, I threw it in the background.
Right.
I said, I don't know if I can do it. I'll just reach out. I'll just let him tell me again.
Yes.
So by this time, things happened in my life. And I was fasting, and I was praying, and I was fasting, and I was praying. And I didn't hear from him. I was fasting 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I did not hear from him. And I said, I don't hear from you, so I guess you don't love me. And that's the way I talk to God. I say, you don't love me because I can't hear from you. I've sacrificed my body by fasting and praying. I've given up everything. I didn't even watch TV.
Okay.
Because that prayer that I was praying, I needed an answer.
Yes.
And each time, the Lord God is so good. He's so good to me, and he answers me the way I can understand, thank God. And by that time, the last day, he said, get up, because I was on my face praying. He said, get up. And it was like a stern voice.
Right.
Get up. There are more women hurting than you.
Wow.
And they are worse than you. And we had a conversation. I said, God, it cannot be possible. It cannot be possible that somebody is feeling worse pain than I have right now. This cannot be possible. And he said, get up. He kept saying, get up.
Right.
So I got up, I fixed myself, I took a shower, got me a meal, and started preparing.
Beautiful.
That was in the early 90s. And by a few months later, started the first women's retreat.
That's wonderful.
And then let me tell you about the first women's retreat. We went to a YWCA. And he said, tell the ladies, because some of the ladies like to fish. He said, tell the ladies to take their fishing poles. So when I told them, they went, what? So we found a pond. And I said, and they said, when we going fishing? I said, I don't know yet. I don't know. So we found a pond. And I said, it's time to go. So it was a very nice sunny day. So we took the fishing poles, went by this pond. That pond looked like it didn't have nothing in it. So we took the poles down to the fishing hole, that's what I call it, looked like a pond. And the wind started blowing. And the wind just swept through very hard. Woof. And the message was, I will make you fisher women of other women.
Wow. Wow.
And that's where I got my message. That's where I got, okay, yeah, there, and then on and on. So I've been doing retreats since the early 90s.
That's great.
And I did find out, even now I find out there are more women with more pain or just as much pain as I am.
Wow.
So I can't stop. I
understand.
can't stop. Even if I'm by myself, I don't even need a crowd. Even if I'm by myself, I have to tell the story
That's beautiful.
of
We
the risen
appreciate
Christ.
We
Yes.
do.
Us
We
women really
Yes.
appreciate that. Well, my next question to you. How have you seen Pastor Russell personally and his ministry grow in Minnesota?
Oh, just in Minnesota. Okay.
Just do it right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a wide array of answers because I have seen him grow tremendously. When you think you've grown,
Yes.
like he thought he was grown up when he told his daddy, "I'm not taking that church." He thought he was grown,
Right.
but he found out his daddy said, "You ain't grown, son. No, you're not grown."
Not yet.
So, but when you think you're kind of at the max where you can go,
Right.
the Lord always open up another level.
Yes.
And this is what happened to us, and because he's the leader, so he's to him. And open up more areas and more stages, and it's just phenomenal. And what the biggest part, the main part where I've seen the growth is with our children.
Oh.
Because our children came up with us. And I've seen them grow, and that's been so meaningful to us. So if you can grow your ministry at the house,
Right.
then you can grow your ministry
That is the truth.
that God has given you. So that's the biggest ministry, I think, is the growth at home,
Wonderful.
starting at home. And then not that he say, do as I do, or just do as I say, rather,
Right.
but come on, go with me. So that's been us the whole time.
That's great.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, she threw it back over to you, Pastor Russell. So I'm going to ask you, what has been your hardest and most rewarding efforts? The hardest and the most rewarding effort as president of the Minnesota Baptist Convention as part of this growth?
The hardest and most rewarding. When you talk about being hard, it really wasn't a hard thing for me to do because that's what I've done all my life, really. I've been a leader. And so it was not something I had to just learn while I was doing, while I was in training, while I was at the State Baptist Convention president. But it's just that's what I do. Because I had already been over churches and had worked in conventions before and had been vice presidents and served even in the national. So when it come down time to do the State Baptist, it was a natural flow. Yeah. The main thing was pinpointing what we was really trying to do, and that was education. So when I said it one time, I had to say it 2 more times to put the emphasis there. So, and that's what we tried to do, and we did grow everything from our Congress to our convention to you name it. I look back and I'm thankful for everything we were able to do. So that was the hard part. It was just it was a good thing for me. I enjoyed being president.
I would have thought that you would have said after 8 years being president of the Minnesota Baptist Convention that getting the national convention here, that was a wonderful thing that you did, was a hard work.
It was a lot of work, but again, it was a joy even to do that. Although it was hard work, but the national convention was. I think that's something that everybody would like to be able to host at least one time. Notice I say at least one time.
At least one time.
So that means that's it for that. But I don't know if Minnesota get another one, but it felt good because really put you in a position where people could see your leadership on display, really.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why And I had a good group of people around me that it was just all around a good thing.
Well, fantastic job that you did, and it brings us back to the youth that you talked about earlier, First Lady, and your involvement with them as well, and how strong it is. So I'm going to end this segment with this question to you both. Our youth, we can see, have been a passion for both of you. Tell us what will be your proudest work with the youth.
My proudest work with the youth is just being me. I always want to be me. You see me in the grocery store, you see me.
Right.
You see me at church, you see me. You see me at work, you see me at work, but you see me.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever I am me. So if you can be that same person that get up and shout in church and say hallelujah and singing God's words, and I play too. I used to, but yeah,
Still play.
So it was a great joy when I was playing, because when I was playing, another thing that I prayed for was to get in front and direct 100-voice choir. And sure enough, the Lord granted that wish. I got 125-voice choir.
Wonderful.
And I almost fell getting up on the podium because I was so excited. Oh, it was so excited. But anyway, and it was a lot of youth. But the youth want to see a sermon rather than hear it. They're going to see it first. And that's what my greatest accomplishment, I think, is just being myself.
Right.
Living the sermon that they can see. And
That's
being
great.
open so they can come to me anytime.
That's great.
That was put together.
Saying to them that it's okay, you can be cool and learn too. I think that's what I'm trying to show, that look, you can learn, and the importance of learning, how it will get you to the next level to do that. That's what I've tried to instill in young people all their lives, to show them that you can be a functional, productive citizen, but it's going to take a whole lot of learning. Yeah.
Well, we're capsulizing this conversation here today with Pastor Russell and First Lady. Their move to Minnesota, their life together, and there's so much more to it. But it's so gratifying to see two people such as you being together for this time and being able to deliver to us all the blessings that God has given you. And so we're so appreciative of the fact that you didn't go west, young man. You came to Minnesota. And so thank you for coming to Minnesota. And that leads us to our third part